Alright guys, welcome. So I said we're going to be talking about incomplete pullbacks now. Um let's just take this. Sincerely, incomplete pullback is a simple theory that I have that I use. Incomplete pullback. So there are sometimes that you're going to be seeing me doing this, having this incomplete pullback. IPD. Sorry. So I'm going to be having this IPD, right? Basically just stands for incomplete pullback. Right, incomplete pullback zones. Now incomplete pullback are zones that are not yet retested, that has not been retested. So now you know that your major structural, how structure is supposed to be in reality, how it is supposed to be is for every break of structure there need to be a retest, right? So whenever you have a break of structure, the price fails to retest and then you just get a continuation. That area that price has failed to retest, now you can see break and retest, right? Now you can see a break of structure. The next structure failed to come and retest this zone, right? That is this guy failed to retest this guy. So what do you now have? You now have a continuation here. This point is an incomplete pullback. Now that point could also, now what you can now have in the future is price can now, even if we create this, price will now do this, right? It will now come here. Then there will always be a reaction from there, either to come back to here to buy or a reaction from there to sell. Do you understand? Right. So this is basically just incomplete pullback. It is when you have a break of structure. An incomplete pullback now is when there is a break of structure that does not go back to retest. This area, that unretested area, is an incomplete pullback area. So price in the future is going to come back to that zone and retest it. Then that retest now might lead to a continuation, to the original direction, or it will just lead to a zone where you are going to be having either a short-term reaction or a long-term reaction. It is simple. Now the inverse is for the buy side, this is for the sell side, then this is for the buy side, right? When you are trending upwards, right, and then you have a break of structure and price fails to retest and it just continues. So this area that fails to, sorry, not there. So now follow me. Break of structure, retest of the structure. Break of structure. There's supposed to be a retest of the structure. So this guy, right? This guy here is supposed to retest this level. So since there's no retest, there's a continuation here. So price can actually, this level can fail and now buy. Do you understand? So this area becomes what your incomplete pullback, IPD, IPB rather. So this is basically what I call the incomplete pullback. Now what I use this for is I use it for area, I use incomplete pullback as an area where I can target to. Now in what sense? Now let's say that here, price continues to do what? To buy. So we have a retest of this guy, and then there's a continuation here. And then price retests this and gives me a continuation. Then what now happens? There's now a shift, right? And then I get a retest. And then I get my reaction that I want to get from here. Anything that makes me to short this guy, right? And I decide to sell. Now, you know that, let me just add some lipstick. So we know that now there's a break and a retest here. Okay, now there is an incomplete pullback area here. Okay, then what do I now have? I now have another break, continuations here, continuations here. Okay, then what now happened? I have the shift here. I have my confirmation. So I'm always trading with using the confirmation, right? So then I have my confirmation, then I get into a trade, and then what? I sell. Now, when I start to sell, this is my realistic target, this area here. However, I'm going to be targeting this incomplete pullback. Do you understand? So when I now begin to target the incomplete pullback, I do not care if I miss the buy from here, because what I'll need to see is I will need to see a structure inside this point and then a shift, and then I can now say that I want to buy back. And I'm going to be taking the buys gradually, so I might just be buying back into this level. So let's say if I have something like this, I get that shift. So I'm going to be buying back using confirmation into what this is now, another incomplete pullback. So you can see how that's why I said I use incomplete pullback right now as areas of target. So before, I just identified that incomplete pullback for you guys, so that you know that there's an incomplete pullback there. And sometimes you see me trade from them too, or you see me say that, okay, there's a reaction from here, that's incomplete pullback being respected, or incomplete pullback zone being respected. You understand? So that is just that. So I use my incomplete pullback area as areas of target. So if you understand this, then you should understand. Yeah, it's just the inverse that is happening here. So let's deal with this. So let's say we have a continuation here. Okay, now we sell, price clears this low, then what now happen? We now see volume to the upside, we break, we retest. Whenever we buy, we can have our incomplete pullback as our area of target. All right, now I'm going to the line chart to show you this. Let's go to let's go to this guy here. Right now, everything that I'm doing at the moment is I'm trading the internal structure of the daily time frame, or the 4 hours time frame, the daily and the 4 hours basically. So now here I know that this is my external time frame zone, right? There was a break with volume here. Now before price broke with volume, price left this structure point here. Do you understand? So because price left this structural point here, right, price might come to retest this. It's not a must, right? It's not a must. Okay, let's look at this break of structure also. After we broke here, right, what happened? Price came to retest here. Do you understand? So I am now anticipating that whenever we start to respect this flip zone and we begin to get volume to the upside, and then we see our shift on the 4 hours, and I am buying, I will be buying to do what? To target this high one, and target this extreme level two. So this guy right here is an incomplete pullback, right? But then you won't see me, like, I do not really highlight it and just leave it anymore and just put incomplete pullback now, because I am using it as my area of target. So I know where my incomplete pullbacks are. But for you, you might want to be leaving the lipstick there. So this is an internal structure, right? So this structure might not necessarily be valid. This structure could also be called a flip zone, but it's not really a flip zone because there is no much reaction from here. So you can now see that it is now more of the 4 hours external structure. So if there is a break of structure, price is supposed to what? Come and retest. So this is an incomplete pullback area. So what I'm looking at here is because this point now is aligning with the daily time frame. So the daily time frame is also giving me a structural point there. So when you do this, so you have this. So I hope you understand what I mean now. So I might be having my targets to be more of that high. So you see me holding this trade long term. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is it's just management, right? So I have rules for how I manage my setup. So this is what I look out for, and that is basically what the incomplete pullback is, right? So now we've dealt with all of this stuff. So I guess you understand this right now. So I'm going to be catching you guys on the next one where we talk about some important things. So we're going to be heading straight to the chart to implement what we have learned.